Marie, lived until 1758, by which time she had married again to one of the actors in the theatre company where my father had worked, a Philippe Dumarquet, who had delusions of grandeur and claimed to have once performed before Pope Benedict XIV in Rome, a claim which on one occasion was mocked by my mother, resulting in a severe beating from her charming husband. The marriage, while unhappy and stained with a recurring theme of violence, did however result in a son, a half-brother for me, named Tomas, which has since become a family name. Indeed, Tomas's great-great-great-great-great-great-grandson Tommy lives only a few miles away from me now, in central London, and we meet regularly for dinner, when I invariably loan him money to pay off the debts he accrues from his extravagant and ambitious lifestyle, not to mention his, to speak plainly, pharmaceutical bills. This same lad is only 22 years old, and I very much doubt if he will live to see 23. His nose is practically on fire from the amount of cocaine that he has inserted into it over the past 8 years. It's constantly twitching, like the nose of a housewife witch, and his eyes wear a permanently glazed and giddy expression. When we dine together, always at my expense, he is prone to bouts of either nervous energy or severe depression. I've seen him hysterical and catatonic, and am unsure which state I prefer. He laughs suddenly, for no apparent reason, and always disappears shortly after I've loaned him some more money, when pressing business whisks him away. I would attempt to seek help for him, but his lineage has always been troublesome, and, as you shall see, every one of his ancestors has met with an unhappy ending, so there is little point. I am long past the age when I will try to interfere in any of their lives. They don't appreciate my help anyway. I feel that I shouldn't grow too attached to any of these boys, because the Tomases, the Thomases, the Toms, the Toms, and the Tommies invariably die young, and there's always another one waiting around the corner to bother me. Indeed, only last week Tommy informed me that he has knocked up, as he so charmingly puts it, his current girlfriend, so I can only assume from experience that his own days are now numbered. It's midsummer now, and the child is due around Christmas time. He has provided an heir to the Dumarquet line, and, like the mate of a black widow spider, has thus outlived his usefulness. I might add at this point that it was not until around the end of the 18th century, at which time I was reaching 50 years old anyway, that I stopped the physical act of aging. Until then I was a man like any other, although I always took a particular pride in my appearance, atypical of the times, and made sure to keep both my body and mind healthy, something which in itself wasn't to become fashionable for another 150 years or so. In fact, I seem to recall noticing, sometime around 1793 or 1794, that my physical appearance was remaining intact, something which pleased me at the time, not least because to live to that age was practically unheard of in the late 18th century. By about 1810, it was frightening to me, as by rights I should have looked like a man approaching 70, and by 1843, the 100th anniversary of my birth, I knew that something unusual was occurring. By then I was learning to live with it. I've never sought medical advice on my condition, as my motto has long been, why tempt fate? And I am not one of these long-living fictional characters who prays for death as a release from the captivity of eternal life. Not for me the endless whining and wailing of the undead. After all, I am perfectly happy. I lead a constructive existence. I contribute to the world in which I live, and perhaps my life will not be eternal anyway. Just because I am 256 does not necessarily mean that I will survive to 257, although I suspect I will. But I am moving ahead of myself now by the best part of 2.5 centuries, so allow me to return for a moment, if I may, to my stepfather Philippe, who outlived my mother only owing to the fact that he beat her one too many times, and she collapsed in a heap on the floor one evening with blood emerging from her mouth and her left ear, and never rose again. I was 15 years old at the time, and having seen to it that she got a decent burial, and Philippe had been tried and executed for his crime, I left Paris with the infant Tomas to seek my fortune. And it was as a 15-year-old boy, travelling from Calais to Dover with my half-brother in tow, that I met Dominique Sauvet, my first true love, and quite possibly the girl against whom none of my subsequent 19 wives or 900 lovers could ever